Tuet voi, de lo fin ban viet lai de du, lin mok, jakam sok vodong yu ko ban dua ari emoti kotrion duok hu bang jong mok mak, chon tuk, voinip kutu ni new de emoti new my da dangoi noi trion truok moikwe, kong kich, kong jia. I knew something was wrong the second I saw the chainsaw leaning against the fence post, my fence post, on my land, the one I built with my dad 10 years ago when we moved out here to get away from, well, everything. At first I thought maybe it was just some lost contractor wrong address or whatever, but then I saw the dust trail from the ATV still settling in the air, and the open gate that I damn well remember locking the night before, and I thought, no, this wasn't random. Someone meant to be here. Someone meant to leave a message. Now, I ain't one for drama, I really ain't. I grew up in a house where you handled your own problems, you mowed your own lawn, you didn't whine about noise complaints or write passive-aggressive Facebook posts. You just did your work, raised your kids, and hoped the neighbors were half decent. But this was different. See, my place sits just outside of what they called the Preserve, a gated neighborhood full of glass walls, infinity pools, and HOA folks who treat lawn height like it's a moral issue. When I moved in, this was all pastureland. Now, I've got luxury homes poking up like weeds on every horizon. At first, it was little stuff. Can you trim the trees blocking our view? Your chicken coop smells. Is that a rooster? He crows too early. And I tried, I really did. I moved the coop. I kept the rooster in longer. I even paid for new fencing on their side just to avoid more complaints. But apparently, breeding was next on their list because 2 weeks ago, I get a letter. Not a visit, not a color letter. From the HOA. Says my unpermitted agricultural structure violates the community's view ordinance and must be removed. They are talking about my barn. The barn that's been here since the 70s. The barn that has a historical designation from the damn county. And that's when I knew this wasn't about views or chickens or noise. This was about someone trying to buy me out, force me off, erase the last bit of land they didn't control. Let me back up a sec. There's this guy, Trent McAllister. He's the HOA president, but really he's just a real estate flipper with a god complex. Walks around in polos 2 sizes too tight, smells like cologne and self-entitlement. He offered to buy my place last year, lowballed me so bad I laughed in his face. I told him this land wasn't for sale, not then, not ever. Apparently, no, don't sit right with Trent. Fast forward to today, chainsaw on the post, barn door hanging open, someone's been inside. I checked the trail cam footage is gone. Whole card wiped clean. But the inside of the barn? It's worse. My tools are scattered, the feed bag slashed, and one of my goats. Just gone. And there's a spray-painted message across the wall, you don't belong. You don't belong. I stood there, heart pounding, hand shaking, thinking who the hell thinks they do belong more than I do. That's when I called Dani. She's a friend, kind of a sister figure. Ex-military, did 2 tours, now runs a private security firm. She's the one you call when you don't wanna call the cops, you know what I mean. She shows up that night, looks around, listens, nods. Doesn't say much. Then she says, you got cameras. I nod. Then we are watching tonight. We sit in the barn. Cold, dark, nothing but thermoses and silence between us. Around 2 a.m., we hear it crunch of boots on gravel, slow, careful. 2 figures, flashlights off, but moving like they know every inch of my land. Dani hits record on the night vision cam. We don't move. Then they start talking. Low, but we can hear. One says, we get this one done, McAllister signs the check tomorrow. That was it. Proof. Not just trespasser child saboteurs. Next morning, Dani packages the footage, sends it to her contact at the sheriff's office. But before they can act, bank code enforcement shows up with a demolition order. I kid you not, they claim the ban is a public safety hazard and is scheduled for teardown by Friday. So now I'm mad. Like real mad. I go full boomer. I print out every document I have: zoning laws, deed history, the county designation, drive down to the courthouse and demand to speak to a judge. They try to stall me. You need to file a motion, blah blah blah. But I keep pushing. And finally, Judge Every, this old, no-nonsense woman who once fined her own nephew for illegal parking, agrees to hear me. I show her the footage. The threats. The letter. She narrows her eyes, picks up the phone, and in 10 minutes, the demolition is halted. But here comes the twist. The next day, I get a visit from a woman in a gray suit. No name tag. Just a card that says State Attorney's Office. She asks if she can walk the property. I say sure. She stops at the barn, looks inside, then says quietly, "Do you know what's buried under here?" I'm like, "Excuse me." She says there's evidence suggesting this land, decades ago, was used to store military-grade surveillance equipment, part of a now declassified program from the Cold War. My barn might be sitting on buried infrastructure worth millions. And suddenly it clicks. This was never about chickens. It wasn't even about land. It was about what's under the land. Trent. He knew. Maybe not all the details, but enough to want me gone. Enough to hire guys to scare me. Enough to grease the right palms. But I didn't budge. I never will. A week later, federal agents arrive not to arrest me, but to scan the property. They confirm it. There's a sealed vault beneath the barn floor, concrete, lead-lined, untouched for over 50 years. They don't want it demolished. They want it preserved. Trent gets arrested on 3 counts of conspiracy and bribery. His HOA cronies scatter like rats from a sinking ship. And me. I get a visit from the Historical Commission. They declare my property a protected site. No more HOA harassment. No more buyout offers. Just peace. Now every morning, I walk past that barn and smile. Not just because I won, but because I stood my ground when they tried to break me. Because this land, this crooked old fence line, this feed shed with rusted hinge seats, not just dirt and wood. It's memory. It's history. It's home. And to anyone out there fighting your own version of Trent, don't flinch. Let them underestimate you. Then show them exactly who they're messing with. So was I right to fight? Or should I have just sold and walked away? Drop your thoughts below because I wanna hear what you would have done. Let's talk land, legacy, and what it really means to belong.